Welcome back to Geek Channel 8. I'm Eric.
Hey, and I'm Will.
And today on the show, we are going to be talking about Santo y el Demonio Azul contra el Dr. Frankenstein. I apologize in advance. My Spanish is not good. I don't know Spanish at all, actually. And so, as whenever we do any sort of foreign film on this program, we're gonna mangle it. I'm gonna mangle it. There's
Well,
gonna be a
I
lot of real
personally,
bad Spanish.
I've taken Spanish lots of times.
Okay, good. So you'll be our translator.
No, I said I took it lots of times. I don't think I guess I passed enough of the times, but yeah.
Well, what have you been up to since we last talked?
All right, so mostly I've been geeking out on garden stuff. It's been cool. I know weird because it's all frozen over right now, at least to where I'm at. But I went to this a local food conference. I signed up. I was there with people like who really knew what they were doing, and which was cool because I'm trying to ramp up my jam. I'm trying to become a garden manager. That's the aspiration. Um,
Is that a real thing?
it is a real thing. Somebody's got to manage the garden. Somebody has to worry about when to plant everything, etc. Even if you're like a full volunteer organization, somebody has to do all that stuff. Now, I literally am really bad at organization. I don't have any leadership qualities, but I do love to like get a project started and get a bunch of other people enthusiastic about it and then hope for the best. And that's so that's what I'm trying to do. But in all seriousness, it seems really exciting. It was kind of fun that when I got there and started talking to people, I didn't know anybody, but it turns out I knew everybody. I was like one step away from like half the people there were like, wait, Mona? Oh my gosh. Yeah, no, we love her. She's such a great chef and she taught me so much stuff. And I'm like, yeah, that's my sister, yo. And, or there's another friend of mine, Larry. Larry is really big in the local, basically everything ecological and conservation. Turns out like half the people there, I was like, one was like, oh my God, Larry hired me. I'm like, well, he was at my Thanksgiving last week. So yeah, that was the that's what I've been doing lately. That was really good and good times.
So let's just jump into this
Right on.
because we got a lot to talk about. So this is known as Santo y el Demonio Azul contra el Dr. Frankenstein. But even in Spanish, it's usually just Santo y Blue Demon contra el Dr. Frankenstein, which translates to Santo and the Blue Demon versus Dr. Frankenstein. Normally, our information comes primarily from public domain sources, but I have to say this week's episode is hugely indebted to the research of Dr. David Wilt of George Washington University, editor of the Mexican Film Bulletin and possibly the foremost expert on El Santo in the US, if not the
Oh.
world.
That's awesome.
I would have like called him up to be on the show had I not discovered his writing just like a day ago. But maybe if we ever do stuff like this again, I'll ask him on the show, see if we can get him on. That's the first thing I have to get out of the way. The second thing is the background of the year. We normally do a background of the year, and I had a hard time coming up with the year for this film.
Hmm.
Internet resources say everything from 1970 to 1974.
Whoa.
And part of the confusion seems to be that, unlike the Hollywood tradition of dating films by release date, Mexican films are generally dated by the start of production.
Oh wow.
So we're going to flip this one and start with that. So we do know that the filming of Santo y Blue Demon versus Dr. Frankenstein began on July 13th of 1973. August 20th of 1973, more than 200 people are killed when a flash flood sweeps through the city of Irapuato in Guanajuato State, Mexico. Again, I hope I'm pronouncing that right. September 17th, The Liga Comunista 23 de September terrorist organization attempted a kidnapping of Mexican philanthropist Eugenio Garza Sada, founder and president of the Monterrey Institute of Technology and Higher Education. During the resulting gun battle at an intersection in Monterrey, Garza Sada's driver and his assistant were killed, as were two of the terrorists. October 10th, Spiro Agnew resigns as Vice President of the United States. November 3rd, Arnold Taylor of South Africa wins the World Boxing Association Bantamweight Championship in Johannesburg, knocking out title holder Romeo Anaya of Mexico in round 14. December 6th, a landslide kills 14 people in southwest Mexico City and injures 25 others. Then in January 31st of 1974, in the Cleveland Arena, Johnny Powers of the National Wrestling Federation turned heel. That's basically in wrestling parlance. He became a bad guy on Ernie Big Cat Ladd, letting him get pulverized by Ox Baker. So Ox Baker started punching him in the chest. Now, Ox Baker had a reputation of killing people. Even though it was sort of coincidental, two people that he had previously wrestled died of heart failure shortly afterward. So he like made that part of his persona and he had the heart punch, but the fans totally believed it. And thousands of fans rushed to the ring, forcing the police to get involved and Powers to flee the arena.
Oh, wow.
This is just the 6 months before the infamous 10-cent beer night incident at Cleveland Stadium, if people know that. Anyway, February 27th, a Mexican Navy tugboat experienced engine trouble during bad weather off the coast of Veracruz and sank, killing 43 of the 46-member crew. March 22nd, American diplomat John Patterson, who is the U.S. vice consul to Hermosillo in Mexico, is kidnapped by American visitor Bobby Joe Kesey, who demanded a $250,000 ransom in U.S. dollars and no disclosure of the kidnapping to the news media. Patterson's wife brought the ransom money, but no one showed up to collect it. Patterson's badly decomposed body was found later on July 8th in the desert, 345 miles, which is 555 kilometers north of Hermosillo, with a broken skull. April 9th, the Whitbread Round the World race concludes with the winning yacht Sayula II and its all-Mexican crew of 12 men led by Ramon Carlin, arriving first to port after 152 days. May 5th, Mexico City airport workers discover a leaking container of nitric acid in the cargo hold of a Boeing 707 as it was preparing to depart for Tijuana with 75 passengers and 6 crew members. The acid had damaged suitcases and was eroding the aluminum floor when it was discovered. Had it not been found in time, the airport authority said the acid could have eaten through the fuselage and caused the jet to explode in midair. June 3rd, at about 5:30 a.m., after being in a coma for 3 days, Mexican football star Octavio Mucino died. 4 days prior, Mucino was dining at a restaurant in Guadalajara when 32-year-old inebriated Jamie Antonio Muldoon Barreto, a fan of Guadalajara's rival team Atlas, initiated an altercation with him and was ejected from the restaurant. Approximately an hour and a half later, when Mucino left the restaurant, Barreto approached him. Mucino attempted to shake his hand, but Barreto shot him point blank in the head, thorax, and shoulder, then fled the area. Muldoon Barreto was never prosecuted.
What?
Yeah, his family was well connected.
Wow.
July 9th, Mexican boxer Ruben Olivares, former world bantamweight champion, KO's Zensuke Utagawa of Japan in the seventh round to win the WBA featherweight title after previous title holder Ernesto Marcel of Panama retired earlier that year. August 7th, Mexican poet, writer, and ambassador to Israel, Rosario Castellanos Figueroa, died in Tel Aviv by electric shock, possibly an accident or suicide. September 20th, at the Empresa Mexicano de Lucha Libre 41st anniversary show in Mexico City, Dr. Wagner and Angel Blanco defeat Superstar and Enrique Vera, resulting in Superstar being unmasked and his identity revealed to be Armando Lopez, and the maskless Vera having his head shaved.
Wow.
October 31st, Santo and the Blue Demon versus Dr. Frankenstein premieres in Mexico City.
Well, I'm going to just say that was a great lead up for this movie. I think you hit a lot of pertinent. You set the tone.
Okay, so let's talk a little bit about this movie. Before we watch this film, I thought we should go over who exactly is Santo, or El Santo as he's also known. So El Santo was born Rudolfo Guzman Huerta on September 23rd in 1917. He was one of seven children. Rodolfo's family moved to Mexico City in the 1920s. He played baseball and American football, but became interested in various styles of grappling. He first studied jiu-jitsu and then later competed in amateur wrestling. His older brother Miguel became a professional wrestler known as Black Guzman due to his dark skin tone, and his other brothers became wrestlers as well.
Wow.
He's best known by his ring name El Santo, Spanish for the Saint, not to be confused with the British character of the same name popularized by Roger Moore, which we did a series on earlier on this program. El Santo was a Mexican luchador enmascarado, which is a masked professional wrestler and an actor. He's one of the most famous and iconic Mexican luchadores. So accounts vary as to exactly when and where he first wrestled professionally, but by the late 1930s, he was established as a wrestler using the names Rudy Guzman, Hombre Rojo, the Red Man, El Demonio Negro, the Black Demon, and Murcielago Enmascarado 2, the Masked Bat 2. That name was, the Masked Bat was in use, and the Masked Bat appealed to Mexican Boxing and Wrestling Commission, who ruled that Guzman could not use that name.
Wow.
So early in his career, he worked under a variety of ring names and gimmicks, both masked and unmasked, before becoming El Santo, El Enmascarado de Plata, the man in the silver mask, in 1942. In the early 1940s, he got married and eventually had 11 children. His youngest child, Jorge, would become a famous wrestler in his own right. In 1942, Guzman's manager, Don Jesus Lomeli, was putting together a new team of wrestlers dressed in silver and wanted him to be part of it. Lomeli suggested three names to him: El Santo, the Saint; El Diablo, the Devil; or El Angel, the Angel. And Guzman chose the first one. On the 26th of July, age 24, he wrestled at the Arena Mexico for the first time as El Santo. And later on, it eventually gets shortened to just Santo. One of Santo's greatest matches was in 1952 when he fought a tag team known as Los Hermanos Shadow, which consisted of famed luchadors Blue Demon and the Black Shadow.
Huh.
Santo beat an unmasked Black Shadow in the ring, which triggered Blue Demon's decision to become a Technico, which is a good guy. So in Lucha Libre, which is free wrestling, is what Mexican professional wrestling, what we call professional wrestling, they call free wrestling. Lucha Libre, good guys are known as technicos, because although it's free wrestling, which means it's free form as opposed to like the structured like Olympic wrestling,
Right.
it's not completely free form in that there's still certain rules, and the guys that follow the rules are the technicos, and those who like fight dirty are the rudos, which we would call heels, right? So as he Blue Demon becomes a technico, as well as this starts a legendary feud between him and Santo, who's a rudo. This culminated in Santo's defeat in a well-publicized series of matches in 1952 and 1953. And although they appeared together in a number of action and adventure films, their rivalry never really ended. So Santo's wrestling career spanned nearly 5 decades, during which he became a folk hero and a symbol of justice for the common man through his appearance in luchador films and comic books, telling fictionalized stories of El Santo fighting for justice. He starred or co-starred in at least 53 movies between 1958 and
Wow.
1982. By 1952, Santo was a beloved household name despite being a rudo, a bad guy. And he was asked to star in a television serial named El Enmascarado de Plata in order to capitalize on his popularity and change his name into that of a technico, or a good guy wrestler. Santo declined because he feared it wouldn't be a commercial success. And so late in the process, they changed casting to Medico Assassino, a wrestler who wore a white mask similar to Santos, and he became the lead, and the title of the serial began to refer to the villain instead. In 1958, Fernando Oces, a wrestler and actor, invited Santo to work in movies, and although Santo was unwilling to give up his wrestling career, he accepted, planning to do both at the same time. Oces was planning on playing the hero, a masked cop named El Incognito, in these two films, with Santo appearing as his costume sidekick, El Enmascarado. Oces and Enrique Zambrano wrote the scripts for the first two movies, El Cerebro de Mal, the evil brain, and Hombres Infernales, the infernal men. Filming was done in Cuba and ended just one day before Fidel Castro entered Havana and declared the victory of the revolution. And
Wow.
so the films apparently couldn't find a distributor for years. Santo's film career really took off in 1961 with his third movie, Santo contra los Zombies, Santo versus the Zombies. Santo was given the starring role in this film and was shown for the first time as a professional wrestler moonlighting as a superhero. With the success of Santo contra los Zombies, the producers of El Cerebro de Mal and Hombre Infernales were able to release their films by rebranding them under the Santo name. They just like added Santo to them. Santo eventually wound up appearing in 53 luchador films. Many of the luchador films Santo starred in were low budget and often had similar storylines in which Santo would fight characters from the science fiction and horror genres of the time. These were originally supposed to be serials, TV serials, but there weren't enough TV markets at that time. So they
Okay.
put them all together and packaged them as films. They were quickly produced, so it was not uncommon for there to be several Santo films in a single year. The Santo film series inspired the production of similar series starring other well-known luchadores such as Blue Demon, Mil Mascaras, Super Zan, and the Wrestling Women, aka Las Luchadoras, among others. Santo also co-starred in several of these. In fact, it was because of a contract dispute involving Santo and an injury to Blue Demon that resulted in the rise of Mascaras, then a lesser-known luchador enmascarado, becoming famous in his own series of films. Only 4 of the 53 Santo films were ever dubbed into English. The English dub Mexican films of that time period were imported to the United States through the efforts of K. Gordon Murray, who changed the name of Santo to Samson for some of his releases. Most of Murray's imported Mexi films went directly to late night American TV. By 1977, the masked wrestler film craze had practically died off, but Santo continued to appear in more films over the next few years. His final film was Fury of the Karate Experts, shot in Florida in 1982.
Whoa.
By the early 80s, El Santo slowed down his appearances leading up to his inevitable retirement. His farewell tour was announced for August and September 1982. The first of three events took place on August 22nd, 1982 at Palacio de los Deportes in Mexico City. On that night, Santo teamed up with El Solitario to take on Villano III and Rocambole. After the match, Villano and Rocambole lifted Santo up on their shoulders as he received the adulation of the sold-out arena. The following Sunday, Santo appeared at Arena Mexico, where he teamed up with Gran Hamada to defeat Villano I and Scorpio. Santo's last match took place on September 12th, 1982, 1 week before his 65th birthday. In his final match, Santo teamed up with Gory Guerrero, who came out of retirement to reform La Pareja Atomica as they teamed up with Hurricane, I think it's like Hurricane Ramirez, and El Solitario. Their opponents included one of Santo's biggest rivals, Pero Aguayo, as well as El Signo, Negro Navarro, and El Texano. He won his last match and retired as the hero he always portrayed in the ring and on the screen. His retirement tour was also used to introduce his son Jorge as the next generation El Santo, as he was ringside at every show wearing the silver mask and being introduced as El Hijo del Santo, son of Santo. Santo's legacy within luchador films lives on through his son, El Hijo del Santo, who portrayed him in the 1993 biopic Santo, La Leyenda del Enmascarado de Plata, The Legend of the Man in the Silver Mask, as well as the 2001 film Infraterrestrial, which was a revival of the Santo film series. Santo character has appeared in numerous films not authorized by Rodolfo Guzman or his family, including a Turkish film Three Dev Adam, The Three Giant Men, and the Canadian film Jesus Christ Vampire Hunter, among others.
Whoa.
El Santo was known to never remove his mask, even in private company. When traveling on flights, he made sure to take a different flight than his crew to avoid having them see his face when he was required to remove his mask to get through customs.
Wow.
Just over a year after his retirement, in late January 1984, El Santo was a guest on Contrapunto, a Mexican television program, and without warning, he removed his mask just enough to expose his face, in effect, bidding his fans goodbye. It is the only documented case of Santo removing his mask in public. Santo died at a hospital from a heart attack on the 5th of February 1984 at 9:40 p.m., a week after his Contrapunto television appearance.
Wow.
In accordance with his wishes, he was buried wearing his famous silver mask. Around 10,000 people, including Blue Demon and Mil Mascaras, attended his funeral, which was among the largest in Mexican history. He was entombed at a crypt in the Mausoleos del Angel Cemetery in Mexico City. After his death, a statue of El Santo was erected in his hometown of Tulancingo. He was inducted into the WWE Hall of Fame in 2018 as part of the legacy inductees of that year. He has more than one grandson, disputing who gets to use the grandson of Santo title in the ring. It's worth mentioning that I found at least one source that Mexican actor Eric del Castillo may have sometimes played Santo in the movies.
Just a minute, folks. Yes, that's all it takes to visit our refreshment counter in the lobby. There you'll find popcorn and an assortment of popular candy bars to please every taste.
What to pair these films with?
What indeed? Oh my gosh. This is okay. Okay, so first of all, I just want to say thank you for all of that background. I went in cold, so our audience, is going to be able to go in with a little background, which will set the tone. But amazing. So now I want to hear what your lobby segment is. This is going to be good.
I had Mexican hot chocolate.
Oh,
The first chocolate drink is believed to have been created at least 5,300 years ago. So when we talk about I want to have chocolate, we think of bar chocolate.
yeah.
But for most of history, if people said they wanted chocolate, they meant they wanted chocolate drink. So the first chocolate drink was believed to have been created about 5,300 years ago, starting with the Mayo Chinchipe culture in what is present day Ecuador, and later consumed by the Maya around 2,500 to 3,000 years ago. They drank it cold and prepared it by grinding cocoa seeds into a paste and mixing it with water, cornmeal, chili peppers, and other ingredients such as flowers like vanilla.
Mm.
Then poured the drink back and forth from a cup to a pot until a thick foam developed. Chocolate was available to Maya of all social classes, although the wealthy drank chocolate from large spouted vessels that were often buried with elites. An early classic period from somewhere between 460 to 480 AD, Mayan tomb from the site of Rio Azul, Guatemala, had vessels with the Maya glyph for cacao on them with a residue of chocolate drink in them.
Wow. That's like being buried with your bong, man. I mean,
Yep. So the Aztecs, or Mexica, required conquered people to provide them with chocolate. Cacao became used as a currency throughout Mesoamerica. The Aztecs used chocolate to show high status, and it was a bad omen for someone low or common to drink chocolate. Europeans first recorded contact with chocolate was not until 1502 on Columbus's fourth voyage. Okay, there was no sugar there yet. You know, that
mhm.
that came from the New Guinea, so the drink tasted spicy and bitter. It was described by Spanish Jesuit missionary Jose de Acosta as, quote, loathsome to such as are not acquainted with it, having a scum or froth that is very unpleasant taste. Yet it is a drink very much esteemed among the Indians, where they feast noble men who pass through their country. The Spaniards, both men and women that are accustomed to the country, are very greedy of this chocolate. They say they make diverse sorts of it, some hot, some cold, and some temperate, and put therein much of that chili. Yea, they make paste thereof, the which they say is good for the stomach against the catara.
Wow.
Unquote. So often people use hot cocoa to refer to when it's made from cocoa powder, ground cacao beans from which most of the cocoa butter has been removed,
Hmm.
and hot chocolate when it's made directly from bar chocolate, which already contains cocoa, sugar, and cocoa butter.
Yeah.
Thus, the major difference between the two is the cocoa butter, the absence of which makes hot cocoa significantly lower in fat than hot chocolate, but still contains the antioxidants found in hot chocolate. So, hot chocolate can be made with dark, semi sweet, or bittersweet chocolate, grated or chopped into small pieces and stirred in the milk with the addition of sugar. Cocoa usually refers to the drink made with cocoa powder and hot milk or water and sweetened to taste with sugar, if sweetened at all. Instant hot chocolate or hot cocoa mix can be based on cocoa powder, powdered chocolate, or both. And it often includes powdered milk or a comparable ingredient, so it can be made without using milk, sugar, or other sweeteners, and typically stabilizers and thickeners. However, mixes can vary widely, and they vary between brands and ingredients included in their ratio and their quantity. In Mexico today, hot chocolate often includes semi sweet chocolate, cinnamon, sugar, and vanilla. It's often consumed with tamales or pastries like churros.
Oh,
It comes in circular or hexagonal tablets, which are dissolved in hot milk, water, or cream and blended until it produces a creamy froth. I had it from a mix, but I did have spicy cocoa. So I had hot, spicy Mexican cocoa.
tell me, how was it?
Oh, I love it. I had it for both films. So
Good
the
stuff.
mix, a lot of times the mixes that you get, like the mix I got is way too spicy because whenever you deal with things that are spicy, they become more spicy as they sit on the shelf. But also, um, a lot of times, whether it be spicy snacks or spicy, they put in too much spice.
Yeah.
And you'd think, why would they do that? It costs more money to put in more spice. It does, but that is negligible compared to spice's other property, which is a preservative. So by putting a lot of spice in stuff, it has a long shelf life, and therefore they can save money because they can just warehouse the crap out of it, right? So what I recommend is you try it as per directions, but usually what you're going to have to do is mix it. And I take the spicy cocoa and mix it like 1/3 spicy cocoa to 2/3 regular cocoa. And that usually, for the brand that I have, comes out to my taste, which is spicy. It's still spicy. It's cinnamony. It's chili peppery. It's got a bite to it, but it's still also hot cocoa.
Right on. I love it.
All right. So you ready to jump in and talk about this film?
I am ready. Let's get in the ring.
All right. So there's a woman walking home from work and she's seized by this hulking black man who moves in a stiff, almost robotic kind of gait. And he takes her to Dr. Irving Frankenstein's hidden laboratory, where the doctor and his assistant Molina attempt a dual brain transplant, placing each woman's brain in the other's skull. The procedure goes catastrophically wrong and both women die. But rather than quietly disposing of the corpses, Frankenstein reanimates them and releases them onto the streets. Clad in hospital gowns, their heads are swathed in bloody bandages and dark circles under their eyes. The two return to their homes. One strangles her sister while the other murders her husband, who, after filing a missing person report, simply goes home, changes into pajamas, and goes to bed.
Yeah.
Uh, Frankenstein is actually a 113-year-old who appears to be youthful. He's obsessed with brain transplant experiments in order to revive his wife, Sandra, who died of brain cancer 80 years earlier. And he keeps her body sealed in a glass case, convinced that a new brain is what she needs.
Yeah.
Molina recruits two elderly scientists, and Frankenstein administers a rejuvenating serum that restores their youth to get their cooperation. That's there's a lot more to come, but let's break that part down.
All right. So flavor wise, it feels very um bargain basement Bond. It was like a bargain basement Bond villain. Um, the whole thing is he sends them back out instead of disposing of the bodies in the oven. He sends them back out to terrorize. He wants to terrorize the city. And I, oh, I know what it was. As soon as he was like, I need to bring back my wife by getting her a new brain. I'm like, wow. I'm not sure how that's supposed to work, but it does give me that sort of what's the Batman villain who's always trying to bring his wife back?
Oh, Dr. Freeze.
Dr. Freeze, yeah. Very very Dr. Freeze of him. So an interesting setup. And I kind of like the even though they made him like 100 whatever years old, but he's not the original Frankenstein. He's like his grandson or something. But I was like, okay, so you got this cool thing and you have a reason to get people to work with you is because you have this, potion of youth.
Yeah. Mr. Freeze, by the way, not Dr. Freeze, but yeah. So the only creature that Frankenstein successfully creates is this massive lumbering zombie called the Golem.
The Golem, yeah. Throw back to that.
Yep, throwback to the Golem, whose extraordinary strength. I think it says they said he has the strength of 20 men.
Yeah.
It's driven by an electromagnetic device implanted in his brain.
Oh,
Don't know how that would work, but
okay, and guys, look, he's just a giant black guy. That's it. He's just a really tall black guy. Oh, I think they have like something like some bloody stitches across his forehead, but that's pretty much it.
yeah. And he's immensely powerful, but slow and clumsy. And so, looking for a fresh subject, Frankenstein decides Santo's brain would be perfect. Like he would have the strength of the golem, but also agility. And so he, in order to get him, he decides to abduct Alicia Robles, who is the daughter of a professional wrestler who was sort of a mentor to Santo and Blue Demon. So Alicia's kidnapped as she leaves work, and the golem slaughters several police officers who try to intervene.
Okay, before this, we did get to see her, and there's the Blue Demon, Santos, and her, and then like you know, there's this sort of thing where Santos is like her boyfriend, basically, but like um, but they're all out to eat together, and
Yes.
the guys are all Natalie, everybody's nicely dressed, and the guys are still wearing their masks. They wear their
Yeah.
masks the
Yeah. In
entire
the
show.
middle of the restaurant was like fine dining. They're wearing their wrestling masks. Yep. And never take them
like
off.
the whole time, and nobody bats an eye. It's like, and I'm like, it I'm like, this is I don't even know what to compare this to. It was just like, okay, so this is a thing. And now with the background, I'm like, no, this was a thing. At least one of these guys walked around in public and never took off his mask.
Yeah,
So
so I'm wondering what it was like if you like walk around, Mexico City. Could you see these guys just walking around with their masks on? Yes, you could.
and oh my God, Mexico City. I'm like, that seems like that would be a lot of sweating.
All right. So um, we should also mention that intercut with this, their life goes on. So there's like, we actually have a wrestling match.
Oh yeah.
So match number one is Enrique Vera and Ray Mendoza versus Santo and the Blue Demon. And round one goes to Santo and the Blue Demon. Round two goes to Vera and Mendoza. And then round three goes to Santo and the Blue Demon. So they win 2 out of 3. So Santo's sort of dating Alicia, the daughter of their mentor. And they just sort of summarize all this backstory in their dialogue, you know?
Yeah.
So Santo and the Blue Demon go out with her, and Lila is the Blue Demon's girlfriend, to this fancy restaurant. And they're wearing suits and ties and wrestling masks.
Yeah.
We also learned that speaking of family ties, that Dr. Frankenstein is the grandson of the original Dr. Frankenstein. And he reanimates them via electrical fluid in their body. Okay. So now I need to get your opinion on the reanimation via electrical fluid. Like,
Let me just say,
can electrical fluid even a thing?
well, yeah. I mean, any fluid could be electrical. I mean, well, I mean, let me rephrase that. All fluids interact with electricity in their own ways. So, but yeah, and in fact, we use lots of, I mean, old school transformers filled with a specific kind of oil, for example, really toxic. But that was true of a lot of old school stuff. But yeah, no. This what strikes me is that as these movies go on forward, the closer, so far, the closer they are to our present day, the less sciencey, the less plausible. I mean, it's like it's like they're like, yeah, no, wait, we're just gonna throw whatever at this. This is just even there's even a computer. Oh, I forgot. This is very important, Eric. We saw when Dr. Frankenstein was performing surgery, he used an advanced computer to guide his surgery. The he didn't read it off a screen. It basically they worked the computer and a piece of paper immediately fell out of a chute. I don't know how it was printed because it just fell out and immediately. And then he looked at the graph while he was doing the cutting. It was visionary. It was something else, but like the computer was a box with lots of lights and dials on it. Um, you know the
Yeah.
let's just put it this way: the special effects have not improved over time here. This is
Well,
probably the lowest ebb we've seen so far.
but this is Mexican. So we've done I probably should have instead this at the top of the hour, so I'm going to say it right now. We've done Frankenstein films from the 40s. Actually, we've done Frankenstein films from the 1910s, the 1920s, the 1930s, the 1940s, the 1950s, the 1960s. Now we're up to the 1970s. Also, we've done Frankenstein films in from the US, and then we started our exploration of foreign Frankenstein films with the UK. We moved to Japan, and now we're doing Frankenstein films from Mexico. So,
Well, and I'm going to just say it's like I think it really this comes down to that this was I mean, what he made how many films and multiples a year, and they were probably intended originally to be serialized a lot of times. That shows okay, but and there are definitely you can find similar stuff made in American films. It just is like wow, this is sort of a low ebb, but like it's fun. Uh,
but it also is a very nascent Mexican film industry, right?
okay, so yeah,
So,
new, yeah, that makes
yeah.
sense.
So, all right, back to the story here. Santo and Blue Demon are alerted to the kidnapping of Alicia, and the police commissioner Gutierrez welcomes their help and assigns two female detectives, Marta and Carmen, to help with the case. So there's like this sort of Charlie's Angels thing going on where he's got like these detective babes that work for him. When Frankenstein learns of the female detectives, he becomes uneasy, declaring, quote, uniformed men in trousers don't bother me, but women in skirts make me nervous. I never trust feminine intuition, unquote.
You know?
So, yeah, I mean, on brand for Frankenstein stuff, right?
Yeah, nope, totally.
Okay, so he orders his henchmen to capture the two female detectives, but Santo and Blue Demon thwart the attempt. And when the golem arrives, the wrestlers, after seeing the monster bending a fireplace poker with his bare hands, decide that discretion is the better part of valor and slip away with the detectives through a back exit, right? By the way, every set in this movie is gray. It doesn't matter where they are. They're at somebody's house, it's gray. They're at the bad guy's lair, it's gray. The restaurant, gray. Everything is gray. I have no idea why.
I want that's actually a great question. I wonder if it had anything to do with like it's like, yeah, we're only going to be able to get these colors if we have this neutral background. I don't know. I
I
mean,
think maybe they're like, this is all we got to paint the sets with. All these gallons of gray paint, you know? Anyway, um, so Frankenstein then sends a ransom note to Santo promising to release Alicia if Santo surrenders in her place. So he gives Blue Demon a wristwatch equipped with a hidden receiver, so it's like very Dick Tracy, and a transmitter for emergencies. And he accepts. He walks willingly into Frankenstein's lair and is shackled to an operating table for the brain extraction. Of course, he's still got his mask on, so I don't know how they're going to do that through the mask, but He
Oh, and we
activates.
get to see it. We get to see him. They again. They use the what I forget what they not the Goliath. No, the Golem. Because he mere regular humans. No, they've captured him, and he talks to him. He's like, "Oh, well, are you going to honor your promise?" And Frankenstein's like, "You're wise to not trust a murderer like me. Of course, I'm not going to honor my promise." And then he's so it's on. Santo starts beating the crap out of everybody in the room, and it's only when they call in the golem where they're able to stop him. So
Yeah.
yeah.
Oh, and I forgot. We had right before this happened. We had match number 2.
Oh yeah.
Uh, so there was it was Santo and the Blue Demon were the Technicos. Those are the good guys, and the Rudos or heels or brawlers were Angel and Valentino. Round 1 went to Santo and the Blue Demon. Round 2 to Angel and Valentino. And round 3, I don't know if it happened. I don't remember. Um, but anyway, the fight scene at Frankenstein's lair is what the thing that really gets me. Now, this is throughout this whole movie, especially during action sequences, but like it's super weird compared to like and really hilariously mismatched by American horror movie standards.
Mm.
But the music is this like light xylophone jazz. It's like it reminds me of Esquivel uh, um, lounge music, and I actually kind of dig it. I think it's like one of the for me it's one of the high points of this series or this film is like the Latino lounge jazz that plays during the fight scenes, you know? Yeah.
I wonder if it was like some attempt at Exotica. I'm not sure if that's the same time period when the Exotica
Yeah,
was
I mean
made.
that's kind of what it is. It's like
Yeah.
Exotica. After they foil his plans,
Oh yeah, they got him strapped to the gurney, right?
yeah. So shackled to an operating table for the brain extraction, he activates the watch, prompts the blue demon to bust in, freeing him and they defeat Frankenstein's goons, rescue Alicia and his Frankenstein and his chief henchman and the golem manage to escape. And then, so seeking revenge, he disguises himself as a foreign masked wrestling promoter, and he enters the Golem into the ring under the moniker Mortis. You know, and his
Yes.
plan is to have the Golem kill them in the ring, so it'll be quote a legal death.
I don't know why that mattered, but
Well, I mean, I guess if someone dies during a boxing match or a wrestling match or something like that, it's chalked up to just one of the hazards of the sport, right? But
yeah, I'm not really sure why it matters to him at this point because he's done a lot of illegal stuff anyway. But whatever. You know what? The point was that they were going to fight it out in the ring. That was the important part.
yes. So we get to our monster battle of the week. It is the final match of Santo versus Mortis. During the match, Mortis begins strangling the silver masked Santo, but Blue Demon spots Frankenstein's aid in the audience and forces him to reveal the scheme. So enraged, Frankenstein summons Gollum from the ring, and the two flee up to the arena's like high catwalks. And Santo and the Blue Demon pursue them, and both Frankenstein and Gollum end up losing their footing and plummeting to their deaths, with Frankenstein's corpse rapidly aging as soon as it hits the ground.
Which that was a pretty that ties into something that I'm like, look, I don't want to give any spoilers, but it was kind of a cool little thing they did. So kind of a highlight in my opinion.
All right. What is your assessment of Mexico's entry into our Frankenstein sweepstakes here?
Okay, oddly, honestly, oddly, on this one, I'm giving it a thumbs up. It was crazy, you know, the idea there's like, well, all you really need is a giant black man and who's mind controlled. There's your monster.
He,
But
by the way, he becomes a Mexican wrestler himself later on after
yeah.
this series.
Oh, really?
Yeah,
That's
yeah,
awesome.
yeah.
But like, I love the. I mean, I thought it was a very unique flavor. The only thing I was like, you could lose pretty much all the in the ring stuff, and I'd be pretty much happy, way happier with that. Um, I definitely fast forwarded through the second fight. I was like, okay, I'm not sitting through all this. Um,
I actually like that part, but yeah,
yeah. I mean, I've never been a big wrestling fan, but I do love the setup as these guys they are these masters of the ring, and then they are also superheroes, basically superheroes, super spy. I mean, the police officers treat them with utter respect because they are like to be deferred to as heroes, basically, and all the action adventure stuff. It was fun. I mean, I thought it was a lot of fun. It was goofy. It had its own flavor. The exotic music, the even though the special effects were definitely at the lowest lull I'd seen so far, they were fine for what you know. I'm a Doctor Who fan, and it was important to me with modern Doctor Who, for example, that they didn't make the special effects too good because that would just have ruined it. I think they knew that. So it's in the same way. I like the flavor. It's delicioso. I love it. I don't know what that just I don't know what delicioso means. So never mind. But yeah, that was good. I give it a thumbs up.
okay. I also give it a thumbs up, but a very reserved thumbs up. It's not for everybody. This to me is uh this to me is like a although I said like I drank hot chocolate when I watched it, I was watching it alone. I think this would be a lot more fun watching with a bunch of people drinking
Mm.
beer. Like, get your coronas or whatever. Uh it's it's fun, it's weird. Um I like the wrestling parts. I think they're actually one of the highlights for me is the wrestling parts. I think the wrestling matches are more interesting in a lot of cases than the actual choreographed fights with the monsters. It's a little anticlimactic the way it ends, but I dig the music in this, that exotica music. So I give it a thumbs up. But it's for people who are into weird cult stuff. And in case you didn't figure it out, our monster battle of the week, Santo versus Mortis, we got to give that one to Santo. So,
Yeah.
all right. With that, I'm gonna wrap it up here and say if you like the program, tell two other people about it. That's all we ask. Two people. If you want to communicate with us, we have a Facebook group that's good for that. Or you can write us at GC8 Podcast. That's letter G, letter C, number 8 podcast at gmail.com. Until next time, this is Eric
And this is Will.
signing off.